My name is Ryan. My tag is Simply, and I speedrun Mario 64, and I come from Minnesota, and now I live in Texas. Growing up in Minnesota was really chill. I got a nice family I'm very thankful for. My mom is obviously very public. She streams. My dad is more tucked away, but he's also very supportive of stuff. And growing up, there's just a ton of gaming. Like, our family is all gamers. Like, as soon as I could play games, I was playing them. And when I wasn't playing them, I was watching them. Like, watching my brother play or sister, dad. Like, they all play games, except my mom. My mom doesn't play. But, yeah, I would play, like, Mario Party, Mortal Kombat. I got into, like, Warcraft and Diablo. And my big obsession was League of Legends before Mario. And that's what actually led me to Mario, because I wanted to watch people play League, because I wanted to get better. So I went to Twitch, and that's where I found Siglemic streaming Mario. And I was like, this is interesting. And then I tried the game. I didn't even want to speedrun it. I just wanted to try, I think I just wanted to try playing the game again, because I didn't really play it as a kid. Like, I watched people play it, but I was, like, too stupid to figure stuff out. Like, I probably got, 1 star, maybe, as a kid. Like, I don't really have any solid memories of that game, other than watching people play it. But yeah, I just went back to try it out, and then I just kept playing the game, and here we are. I started feeling like I was a pretty good player when I started playing a lot with Cheese, because the way it went down was I was on break from the game. I had gotten, a 149 and 120 star or something, which was a huge goal for me at the time, and I was, pretty happy with it, and I was just on break, doing other stuff. I don't know, just probably playing other games, and because I get burnt out on Mario pretty easily, honestly. As long as I've been playing the game, I took pretty consistent breaks from it. And when I was on break, people kept talking about this guy named Cheese, and they're like, he's the fastest improving player ever. He's gonna have a world record, and you could see it. He was improving incredibly fast, and I came back right as he was around my level. He was at a 148, 147 level when I came back and started playing again, and I don't remember how it went down. Either I went in his chat or he went in my chat, but we just said some shit. He said I was his idol or something, but I think he was saying it jokingly. We were just kind of playfully talking or whatever, but we got in a Skype call and just really vibed, and we would just practice together and call all the time, and we would stream together because we had no viewers back then, maybe 50 viewers, 100 on a really good day. Probably even less, honestly. No more than 100 viewers. So when you're chat, there's not much to chat about because there's not many people chatting. It's way nicer to be in call with someone. So we'd be in call all the time, just doing runs together. And I was keeping up with him as he was improving. And I think that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm because before I was kind of I don't know, I don't really know how good I'm. I never really thought about am I improving quick or not. I was kind of just having fun with it. But when me and him were going back and forth, and there was a point where I had surpassed him for a bit before any of us had gotten records, and I was like, dang, I'm pretty good at this game. And I remember I got a 143.10. That was the time that I stopped at for a long time, because it was a run that was crazy for me at the time. And then Cheese eventually surpassed it and, got a ton of records and stuff. But that was that when we started hanging out, I think that's when I was like, okay, this stuff, I don't know, it just feels easy to understand, I guess. Improving and stuff like that. It's just a time thing. Probably just the personal journey. I think if I think about record too much, it can get kind of, it can be kind of defeating sometimes, especially if runs aren't going that well. But if I'm just thinking about it in terms of, okay, I just want to get a 1 second PB, and I know I can do that, then that's a good challenge. And that's really all it is. It's a good challenge is fun, and it's rewarding to go after that. And I mean, practice is fun. Admittedly, I haven't been playing the game that much these days. Kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's still enjoyable. I get moments where I'm really into the grind, but yeah. Yeah, I usually just take a break, honestly. I've played through Burnout once or a couple times. When I got record, I played through Burnout. I had some of the worst days of my life, leading up to world record. There was a good probably couple weeks or maybe a month of time where I was playing really bad. I'm so good! What do I do from here? But the reason I kept playing is because I decided, like, I dropped out of my master's program at the time, which was, like, all paid for. And it just felt like I had to make it work. Like, I was like, I did it because I thought I could make streaming work, and I thought I could make Mario work. So I was like, I don't really have any other choice. Like, I have to just keep going. And so I just pushed through. Because I think you can push through burnout. It's really hard because it's just not fun at all. And, like, I don't like to have a bad stream. And there was a lot of bad streams. Like, because it's just me being mad at the game, being mad at chat because I'm mad at the game. And, like, I don't like being that way. But it was kind of just, I had to get through it. And I got through it and it worked out. But nowadays, if I get burnt out, either I try to practice more, because I think the biggest thing that I think actually probably contributes to burnout is just getting bored. And you get bored either because you're not getting runs or you're not learning anything. Like, I always think that if there's something on your plate that's new that you're learning, then it's exciting. Because it's like, okay, I get to try this in a run. But the problem, and this is going to be like a weird flex or something, I guess, but the problem when you get really good, I think, is that learning stuff, it comes pretty quick. So, like, I feel like I run out of stuff to learn, or like I'm not like always striving to learn stuff. Like, there is stuff to learn, but I learn like a lot of new things and I pick them up pretty quick, and then it's like, okay, I pick them up and I get kind of lazy on the adding more stuff to learn. And then that's where, especially if I like am going on vacations or something, that can really break the momentum. Like, there's been moments where I'm like really into the grind, and then I go on like a trip or something, maybe a convention or whatever, and I come back home from it and I'm just like, man, I lost the momentum I had building, and that can be kind of rough, and sometimes I don't want to build it back up. But I think the biggest thing is if you don't want to take a break, learn something new or try a different category. Those are like really good recipes for burnout, and also just doing other things with your life. Like, if Mario is the only thing I'm doing, it's going to turn into depression at some point, because like you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, it's good to have, friends, I don't know, working out, art, other hobbies basically, or I think they're very important for keeping the game fresh. I think my favorite movement right now is Tsukushima Cycle in Dark World. I think it looks super cool, and it's like the fastest thing you can do in Dark World without doing BLJs. So it's like, it feels cool to do something that's like essentially a single star strat. Like, it's a kind of, I mean, single star, they'll do the BLJ, but it's about as good as you're going to get. It's like maxed out or whatever. I think it's really cool because it fits a lot of the mechanics in the game into like 50 seconds. Like, you get speed kicks, you have like really tight rollouts. It uses like the elevator mechanic of like getting up past that elevator. That whole portion right there is like there's like, you could like write books about, like, depending on what the height is of the elevator, you have to do different stuff. You have to like change when you dive, or like sometimes you have to change the frame wall kick that you have because you're going too fast or you're going too slow. And it's like, it's a very cool adaptive movement that like feels really rewarding, because if you really understand it, you can get it pretty consistent. And I think at one point I didn't think you could get it consistently, but seeing all the youngins getting it so consistent, I'm like, all right, I'll just keep grinding it. I put a lot of hours into Tsukushima. That's probably one of the most practiced things I've done, and I still miss it, but when I hit it, it feels good. I mean, something that I've yet to hit properly in a run, I think, is Bowser in the Sky Red's, like the fast cycle there. Normal cycle's pretty easy, but getting the fastest cycle is really hard for some reason. I don't know why, but I just struggle. I think it's just because usually when you get there, you're pretty nervous, and then it's just pretty tight, so. Nerves are a weird thing because they're very mental. Like, there's been times where I'm really nervous in a spot, and there's been times where I've been in that same spot and I'm not nervous at all, and the run could be better than the run that I was nervous on. And I think it really, it's kind of a cliche or something that I say, but it's like, don't get attached. Like, that's like really the heart of getting runs going and like keeping them. Because once you get attached, then that's when you can start getting scared and getting nervous. And the best thing is to just like really enjoy, like just being truly thankful or grateful for the run, because it can be a while before you get runs going. Like you could be weeks between runs that go upstairs or something. So whenever I'm really playing well, or at least like just having fun, is when the best runs usually happen. And that usually happens when I'm just kind of relaxed and I'm not expecting much. Like I really try to, the biggest thing is catching yourself, and it's almost like a meditative thing. Like meditation is kind of like the art of observing your thoughts and like just observing them and seeing them, and then being able to go back to your breath or whatever the focus is. Same thing in speedrunning. It's like, it's easy for the mind to drift off and be like, oh man, I just need to get just a couple more stars, and like, wow, this pace is crazy, and you're not even like playing the game anymore at that point. And it's bad on multiple levels. One, because you're not focusing. Two, it's just not as fun when you're like getting attached. Like it's just, even if you clutch it out when you're attached, it doesn't feel as good as like just having fun and being like, I don't care if the run dies. Like in my PB, I was in Bowser in the Sky and I made a huge mistake, like right at the end. Like the run was like, it was going to be like second place or third place pace, like 137 something. And I had a huge fall, and I just laughed because I was just having fun. Like I was able to get in that mindset. And I think that's why the run even was able to happen, was because I was just not super attached and just having a good time. Yeah, I was the most motivated when I came back from my long break, because I thought I was never going to get to play the game again. So I was kind of riding on this euphoria of like being able to play again, because for years I was just commentating and trying to find ways to still do something with the game and the community. And I finally was able to fix my hands, and I was like, it was like a huge boulder was lifted off my shoulders, because that inhibited me from doing a lot of things that I liked. Like making music was not even fun because it was like painful to use the keyboard. Like everything sucked. It was really bad. I really just felt really good about fixing my stuff, and on top of that, the fact that I committed fully and I believed in myself, being able to do streaming as like a career, those two things combined with the fact that like every time you come back from a break in this game, you're gonna level up. I don't know why that is. I think it's just coming back with a fresh mindset. It was like those three things compounded to get me basically to be, I mean, I was so close that I was just like, I have to do this. Like, I know I can do this. I will do this. Like, whatever, I'll get it done. So my hand pains really started in college in like sophomore year. I started playing a lot of Melee. I wasn't really speedrunning much in college because I was kind of getting lost in like, you know, partying with the friends that I had made up there. I would just, honestly, we wasted a lot of time doing, you know, just drinking, smoking, you know, having a good time. And all I really wanted to do was play Melee, because that's where there was a Smash club at the university, and so that's how I made a lot of friends there as well. And so Smash became my main focus for a while. Smash, if you don't know, is a very technical game, even more technical than Mario, I would say, with the kind of things you can do. And I was playing Fox. I switched to Fox because people at my university were like talking shit that I was playing Marth. They're like, he's only beating us because he's playing Marth. And I was like, okay, I'll learn Fox. And then, because it was like an ego thing, I was like, oh, I'll just learn Fox and then beat you with Fox. And I was determined to do that, so I did, but it was at the cost of my hands. I started getting like burning sensations in my arms. That's how it started. Well, actually, it started as like a fatigue. Like it didn't hurt at all. It would just my hands would get tired more than usual, and I'd be like, all right, I'll take a break. And then it developed into like a burning sensation where it was like kind of uncomfortable, but like if I wanted to keep playing, I could. And then I just kept digging myself further in this hole. Like I kept practicing stuff with Fox that was like really just not good on my fingers, and it eventually turned into a pretty sharp pain, like in my down here all the way up to like my neck. My fingers would just like be in pain, and then outside of that, I would struggle to write notes in class. I learned how to write with my left hand because my right hand like hurt so bad that I couldn't like keep up and keep writing notes in class. So I learned how to write with my left hand, but that started getting its own thing. And so I was pretty down. Like, I mean, I still had fun because, I was able to hang out with my friends. Like, I could watch shows and stuff like that. But not being able to play Melee anymore really sucked. Like, I felt like I couldn't go hard in Melee anymore, so that felt like it died. I did try to come back to Mario, and I actually was like, I was pretty close. Like, I was capable of world record. This was probably back in, like, junior year, so, like, 2017 or 2018. I was, like, capable of getting 120 record, and I was doing runs, and I was improving well. Like, stream was doing good, everything was good, and the pain started happening in Mario, and it hadn't happened before, and it just got to a point where I was like, the game is not fun to play because I'm just in pain the whole time. I can't focus. Then I didn't really know what to do. I started a podcast with Cheese because I was like, all right, I can talk. So I started a podcast with Cheese. I started commentating tournaments because they're I don't know if they still happen, but Speed Gaming was a big channel at the time that did Mario tournaments, and anybody could commentate. And I tried commentary, and it just kind of felt natural, and people seemed to really like my commentary. So then I got inspired to start doing like matches on my channel so I could do at least something like Mario related. And then I got the idea of doing a tournament, and then the tournament went like really well. Like it did almost just as well as if I was playing the game. I was like really happy with that. But you can't commentate for 6 hours a day. Like I can do maybe an hour or two before I'm like, all right, I'm tired now. I can't talk that long, at least commentate. So that was pretty much what I was doing. I was doing like commentary, and I was trying everything to fix my hands, like literally everything. Like I went to doctors. I did like all these stretching routines, all these things that said that they would work. I got diagnosed with like tendonitis in both arms, carpal tunnel in this hand, cubital tunnel in this hand, which is like essentially just a derivative of carpal tunnel. They're pretty similar. But I was like, all right, my shit's fucked. Like my hands are actually just, I can't do anything. Life sucked a lot, but I did pick up things that were able to, like looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything because if I never commentated, then I probably would have never found that I had that ability to commentate or talk the way that I was doing. And I think that opened a lot of doors for me. Yeah, so The Mind Body Prescription is a book that expanded on an idea that I had already had in my head that I wasn't sure if it was true or not, but I had this idea of like, can you like meditate pain away or something along those lines? Like I was like, what got me thinking was like, if you have a cut on your hand and you don't think about it at all, it'll heal like normal, whatever. But I was like, I wonder if you can heal stuff faster, like if you really focused on it. And I mean, that doesn't really tie into that book. Like that could still be a bunch of phooey. I don't really know, but the idea was there. I was like, I feel like your mind could be whatever, connected. And I was streaming, and a viewer told me that there was a Melee player named Silent Wolf who fixed his hands with that book. And I was like, okay, I'll buy the book because I had tried everything. Like I actually got surgery on my hand for carpal tunnel. And I mean, like I said, I tried all the other things. I tried strengthening, some things helped a little bit, but nothing relieved the pain entirely. So I was at my wit's end. Like I really had tried, I did everything I could have done to fix my hands. Nothing. So I was like, all right, I'll read a book. And I read the whole book in like one night because it was so interesting to me. The book spends about 80 or 70% of the time convincing you that it's real with a bunch of like, it's this doctor who's worked with thousands. He's done a ton of studies on like all these different cases of basically proof that like you can have physical problems and not have pain. Like one of the things that really sticks with me is herniated discs. I didn't have this problem, but there's the stories about like people who would mine, like miners in caves or whatever. They would get herniated discs pretty commonly, and he'd have a lot of them come in and they'd have no pain. Like they had nothing related to the herniated disc, but then he would have patients who had herniated discs and had a ton of pain. And so that's like one of many examples of like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why is the pain from the herniated disc? Is it your brain using it as like an excuse? And that's kind of essentially what it is. Like you rewire your brain essentially to think when you feel pain, not all pain, okay? I don't want anyone, thinking I'm talking about you can't solve a broken hand with this stuff, but there's certain things that have become, like, I believe that's what they are, like carpal tunnel. Like, I believe that carpal tunnel is essentially just, like, an emotional thing. Like, that's what the heart of the book is. It's like repressed emotions bring physical pain in the body as a distraction. Like, that's kind of the idea. So the book is really about just, like, addressing those things. So I would journal, like, every day about things that I think I'm repressing or things that I think are bothering me. And I would do that. I would also, anytime I felt pain, instead of being like, oh, I need to, like, massage it or something, I would just be like, I wonder what's on my mind that I'm, like, avoiding. Like, you change the way you think, and it changes the way that your brain reacts to stuff. And within a couple days, my hands went from, like terrible pain. Like, I'd be sleeping at night, and I would have to raise my I'd have to have pillows while I slept, because if they were down, it would just be too painful. Like, I couldn't sleep. So I'd put pillows on my arms to alleviate the pain. And it was really weird. Within a few days, it went from, like, no pain in my arms to, like, I started getting headaches, and I never get headaches. And I was like, is it just moving around? And that the book says that the pain will move. Like, all of a sudden, like, the pain started being, like, in this side of my neck, which it wouldn't really be in, or like I said, the headaches. And I just kept sticking with, like, journaling. Meditation was already something that I had kind of dabbled with pretty heavily throughout college, and that was pretty easy for me to integrate. And my hands went from feeling like I couldn't do anything to, like, feeling good. Like, when you get, like, a really nice massage and it just feels good? Like, my hands just felt like that without anything. Like, they felt good, and I was like, okay, well, now I have to put them to the test. And I played Mario, and at first there was a little bit of pain because my brain was still in, like, this process of, oh, you're playing the game, the controller's hurting your hand, whatever. But I tried to, like, fight that thinking, essentially, or reroute it, and it led to, basically freedom from the pain. It's like, it's your hands. It's your life, like, it worked for me. I know that it worked for me. I don't think I would have been as receptive to it if I hadn't tried everything else. But if you're out there and you're experiencing, like, chronic pain of some sort, I don't see why not reading the book at least. If you're trying to relieve your pain and you're skeptical of the book, like, go ahead, go try all those other things. That's what I would say. Try everything. And if it doesn't work, then maybe try the book. I got into rapping because of my brother. So my brother would always put me on to stuff, like, when I was a kid growing up. So I listened to a ton of Beatles and, like, Pink Floyd and Dire Straits. Those were, like, some of his favorite bands. And he would always play their music in the car. And one day he played Not Afraid by Eminem. And I never really heard rap. Like, I've heard a couple songs, but I was never drawn to it. But when I heard Not Afraid, I was like, that's a crazy song. Like, that song alone made me want to, like, drop a mixtape. Like, I was like, all right, I want to drop a mixtape. Like, so then that's when I started developing my own music taste and started listening to rap on my own. And, like, I had never really chased music before that point. Like, I never was, like, looking around for artists or something like that. So I went deep into, like, Eminem. I got into Chance the Rapper because DevTech, I don't know if you remember him or know of him, but he's like an old Mario runner. He put me on to Chance the Rapper, and I was like, this guy sounds awful. But then I kept listening, and I was like, I got really into it, and then I just kept expanding. But I started with producing. I got FL Studio because I thought it'd be fun to make beats. Eventually, my beats got to a point where I was like, yeah, these are pretty good, and, I didn't know anybody to give them to, so I was like, I'll just start rapping. So I think I started producing in, like, 2013 or 2014. I started rapping freshman year of college in my dorm room when my roommate was gone, and I'd be, like, huddled over the mic, like, really quiet, kind of, like, checking over my shoulder, like, worried if he was coming in because I was pretty embarrassed about it or something, like, because I knew it was bad. And so, yeah, that's kind of where that started. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to, like, make a song and be, like, proud of it, I guess. Like, I think once I got to a point with music where I was like, I'm proud of this music, and I wanted to start showing it to people. And then I showed it to people, and, like, they were like, this is pretty good. And it felt good to, like, guess I get approval from people that I thought liked good music, or like I knew that like I liked their taste, and so if they liked what I was doing, like, because you kind of have a bias when you make your own music, like you're always going to like your own stuff more than anyone else because it's yours, and so getting to that point with music, comboed with getting good at Mario, I think has kind of given me the ability to, or just like the confidence to be like, yeah, I think I can just, if I believe in something or if I think something's cool, then I think I can get good at it to a point that's like at least good enough for me. Like, I don't know. At this point, I just like making music because I want to make stuff that I want to listen to, and like you can't always find stuff you want to listen to. Like sometimes music gets boring or there's nothing I want to listen to at the moment, so I just make stuff I want to listen to, and then I just listen to it. A lot of songs I don't even release, I just listen to them. Dropping the music is like cool, but usually by the time I drop a song, I'm just like already over it, and I'm like ready for the next one, but it's like, I guess it's good to at least get it out there. It's something I've thought about, I am taking music more seriously now just because why not? Like I've kind of reached a point where I'm like, I'm very fortunate that I've reached this point with like streaming and stuff where I don't have to be like constantly on the grind. Like I can take breaks and I can try and focus my time on other things if I want. And so I have been putting more time into music. It would be cool to make money off of it, but I don't know if I want it to like be my career or anything like that. I think that it's fun, and I think it's cool to perform and stuff like that. Like if I get a little bit of change, cool. But I mostly just like doing it because it's fun, and I want to kind of prove to myself that I can make really good stuff, and so that's kind of the journey I'm on with it right now. Melee is really fun. I really liked it because it was really social. Like I met a lot of cool people. I hung out with people a ton, and like my favorite thing was Smash Fests. Some of my fondest memories from college is going to a buddy's house. There's like 4 of us, 2 setups next to each other, and we're just kind of going at it for like hours, and it's just really fun when you're really close in skill to someone, and you can kind of feel that you're both slowly learning each other and like getting better. And yeah, I don't know how much it's really done for me in terms of like, I mean, I don't know if it's affected speedrunning or anything like that, but definitely like socially, it got me socializing a lot. I mean, it got me into hosting tournaments. That was when I first started hosting tournaments. I was hosting Melee tournaments because I wanted them to be a regular thing at my university. So I was like, all right, no one's setting them up, so I'll just run it, and that was kind of fun. Got me some money too because I would always win them. So I was just running my own tournaments to bring home like $40 and be like so happy because I could get a pizza or something, or be justified getting a pizza. I actually just was back in Minnesota last month, and I stayed with my buddy Elliot for a week, and me and him have a bond that's deeper than Smash because we both do music. So I was there doing music with him too, but we played a ton of Melee, and like he'll probably be my homie forever. Like every time I go back to Minnesota, I like to go visit him and say what's up. Outside of that, I mean, there's people that come into my chat that I know pretty well that I used to play a lot of Smash with when I was in Minnesota, and so it's cool to see the familiar names and stuff like that. But other than that, not too many people. It's usually like a complimentary thing to what's already there. Like I have other friends in Minnesota that I was friends with them for different reasons, but then they got into Smash. And so it's like another way that we can kind of bond or hang out, which is fun. I've thought about it, but I think my heart is just not really there for it. Melee's like, it's weird because they came out with Slippi, which is like insanely crazy tech for playing Melee online that essentially feels like you're there in person, which was not even close to a possibility when I started playing Melee. And it's one of those things where like technology like advances, and then in some ways things like devolve, like because of the online developments, it kind of just feels less like a community and more like just strangers that you're just playing with, and then you move on, and it's like, what got me really into Melee was just being face to face with someone, playing them over and over again, and like developing sort of like a, I don't know, history with them. And so when you're just playing with random people all the time, it's good to get better, and I think it's awesome as a complimentary thing. Like if I was really into Melee, I would probably be going to stuff in person and also be grinding online. But I think what it mostly comes down to is I don't really have aspirations to get good at Melee. It went way further than I thought it was, because the reason my mom even got involved in the first place, my mom didn't know what I was doing in my room for like until I was 3rd place in Mario. Like, she had no clue what speedrunning was. She didn't know any of the boys. Like, she knew nothing at all about any of it. I just thought it'd be funny to have her come in once and say like a stupid line. Like, it was like a meme at the time. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically I just had her come in and say a stupid one-liner, like that I knew chat would think it was funny, and they did. And then she saw how they reacted, and then she started just coming onto the stream like more after that, which you can find clips of me in the past of me not being so thrilled of her like coming in, because I kind of felt like it was my little personal private space, and she's kind of like inviting herself in.
Did you PB?
Yep.
Woo!
Yay.
Oh my God, you did it! You did it! I was watching you. You did it.
I did it.
Are you on? You talking to people?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the bits.
Oh my God!
Which is kind of a weird situation to be in, because, you know, people are like, oh, she's so supportive and like she's amazing, like how can you be like against that? And I mean, I'm well past that now. Like I love her, and like I love the support and stuff like that, but at the time it was just kind of a thing. I was like a teenager, and I was just like, you know, go away, mom, type thing, and I was like not really into it. Sometimes it was funny. I think as I've gotten older and as I've gotten to think about it more, like it's really cool how into it she is. Sometimes it is kind of strange territory, because she'll like ask me about something that is like, I don't even know how she knows about it type thing. Like, she's watching streams or she's like in Reddits. Like, she's pretty deep, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. She's more up to speed on stuff than I am, and I'm like, sometimes, you know, streaming can, like, you want to get away from it. Like, I want to be able to like just not talk about it at all and just like talk about anything else. And so sometimes it's kind of complicated, but for the most part it's pretty chill. And she just comes in, says hi, everyone spams hearts, and then life goes on. But introducing her to streaming was also a thing I did not think it would go as far as it did, because I could tell that she liked the attention of like coming in and, you know, like getting a rise out of chat. Like, I mean, I love it. That's why I like streaming. It's like, it's fun to see chat react to you doing stupid shit. For her birthday, it was either 2 or 3 years ago on her birthday, I was like, I'm gonna just get you streaming. Like, just do one stream. I'll show you. I'll set it up. Just do one stream. I'll show you how to do it, and then that's it. And she's like, all right, I'll just do one. And then it was one, and then she's been doing it ever since on her own, like completely on her own. She's proud of the community she's built. She's got like a little like actual Twitch community of like other streamers that she'll like raid or whatever. And I mean, she's doing something very wholesome. She's just making GIFs all the time. Like, that's her whole stream, is making GIFs or like giving advice. And my mom she's got really good advice. Like, she's been through some shit in her life. And so if she's able to help other people, or like, I've gotten a lot of people that come in and talk about, they come into my stream and tell me like how much they love my mom's streams and stuff like that. It's cool. And, you know, she's doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and it's nice. My siblings are pretty cool. Like I said before, they're all gamers, you know. We all would always play games together growing up. Now, I don't live in Minnesota, so I don't see them as much, but, you know, I try and call, check in every now and again. But they're all chill. They're really supportive. And actually, my brother would be like, he would phrase it as like he was trying to push me or something. There was like times where he was like maybe hard on me, or he was like maybe like I don't know how to put this without making him sound bad. But looking back, I think it's all good. But basically, he just would, push me in ways that made me want to do better, or like kind of prove to him that I could do something or whatever. And so that's the kind of thing I've had with my brother. I have another brother who has been pretty like neutral on everything. Like I like hanging out with him. Like he's, he doesn't really pry into streaming at all or anything like that. He just kind of does his own thing, and yeah, it's pretty chill. I don't know. My favorite show is Beef. That show is really good. It's very short, but it's like sometimes I think about TV and stuff like that as kind of like fast food for your brain, kind of like social media. Like it just feels like it's not really doing anything for me. It's just kind of keeping me not bored, but not, it's kind of like video games sometimes. But Beef was a show that I watched, and it like, at the time that I watched it, I was like in a pretty bad spot mentally, and it kind of like got me out of my rut. Like it was like, it's got a really nice take on like depression and like just the kind of world we live in and like the values that people have, and like it really had me thinking and like reflecting on like, what am I doing? Like why am I doing what am I doing? Like what do I want to do and stuff like that, and it really moved me a lot. So that's definitely and it's just a really funny show too. It's like, it's funny, it's sad, it's thought-provoking, it's like, it's got it all, and it's so short too. Like it's like 10, 30-minute episodes. Like it's not much, and they fit a lot in there. So that's my favorite show. Favorite movie? Probably my favorite movie is probably Get Out. I like that movie a lot. Actually, my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. That's a movie I watch every Christmas, and it's just a feel-good movie. I cry every time. It's good stuff. My inspirations for comedy are just my friends. Like, a lot of the things I say on stream, when my friends watch my stream, they're like, it's kind of like you're talking to me or something. Like, it's a lot of jokes that we make with my friends. Like, a lot of my humor was developed with Cheese. Back when we were in calls all the time, we would just keep trying to make each other laugh by saying increasingly stupider and stupider things. And even now, like every time I see him, we just always regurgitate the same stupid things that we've always been saying to each other for like years. But it's like things that I think really developed. Like, I think my favorite thing about humor is like absurdity. Like I like saying weird things or like absurd things or just funny, like ideas that are just like so out there that they're just funny. Like it's just so absurd that or disgusting or something that it's like, it just makes you laugh. That it's so wild, I guess. But in terms of like other comedy, I don't know. My brother's pretty funny. I think I got some humor from him. But yeah, I don't really think about it too much. I think the more you try and think about stuff like that, the less funnier it is. Like, no one ever tries to be funny, and it is funny. Unless you're a comedian. They're professionals or whatever. But anytime I try to be funny, I feel like it doesn't land. And like, when I'm just talking my normal talk, like people laugh, and I'm like, I don't know what I said that was funny, or like it just, I feel like I was just saying stuff. So I think it just, I guess thankfully it just kind of comes pretty naturally, and like if I don't think about it too much, like eventually I say something or do something that I guess is funny. My stream blew up a lot from collaborating with Mizkif, which was really out of nowhere. He started playing the game, and usually when big streamers start playing the game, they quit pretty quick. Like I'd seen streamers come and go, try speedrunning, and they would usually be done before I could even like realize what was happening. And like I never really thought like, oh, I should do something with them. But Wilco was doing stuff with Mizkif, and Wilco's numbers blew up, and I was like, damn, he blew up a lot from that. And I had a friend who I was talking to at the time, and she was like, you should try like reaching out to Miz or something. And at the same time, Mitch Jones, who's friends with Miz at the time, was like, because they had like a little rivalry going, like that's how the Mario arc started for Miz, was Mitch got him into it because Mitch thought it was cool. And Mitch came into my chat randomly and was like, yo, what controller do you use, or something like that. And I was like kind of keeping my distance because people like either told me or like I heard that he was like bad news, or like, you don't want to do anything with this guy, like he's drama or something like that. So I was like kind of not really too eager to do anything. But when my friend told me you should like at least just try something, that comboed with Mitch having already like reached out to me, because I was already like streaming at the time and was one of the top players at the time. And I was like, all right. So I go into Miz's chat and I just like start typing, and then his viewer, this weird thing happens in big streamers chats. If they vaguely know who you are, if a few people know who you are, they'll just start spamming in the chat, and then everyone starts spamming. And so it got his attention, and Mitch saw it, and they're like, yo, get him in call. I got in call. I talked to Miz. We kind of just hit it off, and I did like my commentary bit type thing where I'm like essentially just making fun of him while he was playing. And you can find that stuff. It's on my YouTube. It's like really, really far back now, like 3 years or whatever. And it just blew my stream up a lot. And it was really overwhelming because I felt like now I have to be funny. Like before I didn't really think about it too much. Like I was like, as long as I'm playing good Mario, like people will come. Like I wasn't really thinking too much about being entertaining. It was more about just playing good. Like that's what would stress me out. But once I started getting, you know, I went from, I would get up to like 1,000 viewers before Miz, but only if I was like on a really good run or something. It was usually hovering around maybe like 500, 600. But once I started hanging out with him and streaming with him, I mean, he was like 10 to 15,000 viewers, and I went up to like 2,000 or 3,000 viewers like overnight. And it was really a lot because my chat changed a ton from like, you know, most speedrun chats are like kind of dry. Like there's not a lot of emotes being spammed. There's not really many memes. It's kind of just like them asking questions or like whatever, you know, maybe I'll say something goofy. But when his chat started coming in, they're all memers. Like it's a totally, I didn't even know, like big streamers chats are like a totally different thing, like than a small streamer's chat. They just function way differently. They have to, because you can't like individually address people's questions. You're just kind of bouncing off of like chat as an entity instead of like individual people. And so it was really stressful for a long time. I was just like, I always felt like I had to be on my best, and like I felt really on edge whenever I was streaming, and it just kind of was like kind of sucking the fun out of it for me. But I think I just got to a point where I was like, I can't really keep worrying about this. Like worrying about it isn't going to help, and you kind of get used to stuff. So I think after hanging out enough with him and kind of essentially getting approval, I guess, from his chat and him, because he'd call me every night. Like there was a moment in time where like he was calling every night. I was like, what is happening? Like, why does he keep calling? And I was like, well, I guess I must be good content. Like I guess we're making good content together. I don't really know how to gauge that stuff that well, but I mean, he's a very good eye for content. Like that's why he's so good at what he does, is he has such a good eye for content, like for people that can do content and stuff like that. And when he was like, yo, move to come visit Texas, and it all happened really fast, but I was, at that point, I had already decided that I wanted to make streaming work, and I was kind of waiting for something. Like I was thinking about moving to LA before. There was another friend I had, and when the thing with Miz happened, I moved down there, we clicked, I vibed with everyone at the house, and he's like, do you want to move here? I was like, damn, like, all right, sure. And, you know, now it just feels kind of like normal, but it was surreal for a very long time, and I think it still kind of doesn't really feel like real. Like it's hard to feel it because it's just like it happens so fast, and you know your stream doesn't change. It's not like you see all the people, so like the difference between 2,000 and 1,000, like that's a big difference. But when you're just looking at a number, like it's like a 1 to a 2. You know, it's not, the chat moves a little faster, but it's like it's not like if you're an artist that performs for 300-person venues, and then all of a sudden you're doing like 2,000-person venues, like that's a big jump, and you see the people. I think it's definitely been interesting, for sure. It's something I'm very grateful for, and I think I try to do what I try to do good with it. You know, I try to give back to the community because I feel like I got kind of lucky with how things went, and so I like to donate. I have like those donation videos and host the tournaments, and I try to put on other runners whenever I can, like Liam and Green Suiji. You know, when there's runners that are really good that I feel like aren't getting enough exposure or enough love, like I try to raid them or talk about them or whatever on stream, and just give back in any way I can, because I kind of feel like it's paying it forward. Like Miz kind of gave me, you know, the gift of like being able to do this for a living and like do it comfortably. So if I can help others in any way to get to that point, then awesome. I always feel like I'll be a speedrunner at heart, because I mean that's why I was streaming in the first place. Like I didn't have any intention to be a streamer for a very long time. I just liked speedrunning, and it just kind of worked out. And one of the things that was challenging as I got bigger was like, I was looking at these other big streamers, and I'm like, all right, well, what do I do now? Like, how do I do this, or how do I continue to grow, or whatever? And I was like, I think I was trying to fit into roles that maybe didn't suit me as well. So I did try doing variety stuff more, like just chatting stuff and trying to be more like a Ludwig or a Mizkif. And I think I kind of realized that like it's not my favorite thing to do. Like I don't know. I tried doing some of that stuff that they did, like their stream ideas, and I would just try and do them, or yoink and twist, as Ludwig would say. And it wasn't very fulfilling. I think I get a lot of enjoyment out of just being able to grind a game and get good at it. That's what's always been the most fun for me. So like doing Minecraft speedrunning was really, really fun. I liked Among Us a lot. That was a really nice slice of time. That was my first real taste of variety and like being able to stream something other than Mario. But now I'm kind of asking myself that question. I don't know what to do. I mean, it always feels like Mario is there. And like, yeah, that'll probably get me the most viewers, especially if I can play good. But I'm in a spot where I can do other stuff. So right now I'm kind of thinking of like just other games to speedrun. I think speedrunning is just a great thing because it's so easy to sink time into. I'm already known as a speedrunner. I'm known as like a decent speedrunner. So if I if I speedrun a game and I like it, I think that can just work. Like it did with Minecraft. I did a little bit of Ocarina of Time. I did Mario Odyssey. That was really fun. So my eyes are now set on probably like GoldenEye speedrunning. And I think I want to dabble with Street Fighter 6. I'm thinking about doing. I used to play a lot of Street Fighter with my brother, Street Fighter 4. And then like maybe the occasional, reaction or whatever. Like reacting's not bad, but it is funny. People call it like low effort content or whatever, and like sure, sometimes it is, but there's people who are really good reactors, and it's like it's very underappreciated or like underrated. Like Miz is really good at reacting. XQC is really good at reacting. Like it's not easy to sit there and like come up with things to say that add to it in a funny way without stepping on the content too much and like blocking it with your voice. Like it really is an art, and like it's something that I think I could still use a lot of improvement on. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. Still figuring out what exactly I am with regards to streaming. In terms of growing Mario further, I feel like I've tapped it pretty well. Like I've gotten the YouTube's done pretty well, and I've done a lot of different things with Mario, like ROM hacks, challenges, races with people, wacky whatever. And so I don't know if that was ever really like my intention. I think it happened as a result of things that I did. But I don't think I ever was like, I want to grow Mario. It was more just like, I like Mario, and I want to do cool stuff with it. And if people like it, cool. If not, whatever. Like, I'm having fun with it. It just kind of turned into a thing. So, and I think it's, I'm happy with what I've done. Like, if tomorrow I never played Mario or talked about Mario again, I could be content with what I've done and what I've been able to do with the game and just content. The coolest thing I think that I've seen is a bunch of people are doing their own tournaments now. And like there was a time where that was not a thing. Like no one ran their own tournaments. There was just like the organizations like Speed Gaming running them, but there wasn't like individuals running their own tournaments. And I like to think I played a decent part in that. People tell me like, oh, you inspired me to run a tournament or whatever. And so that's cool. And like people tell me that, I got them into the game, and I mean, the game did so much for me. So if it can do something for other people too, then awesome. And I think now I guess I'm more interested in just seeing what other games have to offer. My favorite game other than Mario to speedrun is Minecraft. Minecraft's super fun. It's kind of like the antithesis of Mario speedrunning because it's very RNG. Mario is notoriously a very just mechanical, technical, honest game that's pretty low in RNG, especially 120 star. You don't need good RNG. You could get the worst RNG everywhere in the run and still get world record. It'd be harder, but chances are you're going to get pretty good RNG every run. Like medium, average RNG is fine. Minecraft was fun because it kind of felt like a lottery ticket. And there's a lot of skill in that game too. Not to say that there's no skill. I've had people get mad because I'm like, it's such a lucky game, but it's like, it goes without saying that game is also extremely technical with just inventory management and also movement can be pretty precise, surprisingly, even though it's just like blocks and kind of running in straight lines. But, you know, being able to navigate the terrain and like, it gets a lot of knowledge, which is cool too. Like just knowing stuff about the game and knowing how things interact with each other. So that's definitely my most fun grind. I mean, the truth of speedrunning is it just gets harder. It continues to get harder, and it gets to a point that just becomes very demanding. I think 120 record as it stands now is very attainable. Like the record's good, but there's a lot of room for improvement still. But I think, and it always like goes down as time goes. You know, there was a time where we thought 137 was never going to get done. We thought 138 would never get done. 139, you know, the barriers get broken over time. But as it stands, like if the record got to a 136, there really is not much room left at that point. Like a low 136, maybe, but it's just such a grind. And I think the amount of time you have to put into the game, by the time that you get to the point that you're getting world record or getting world record capable, you've either already burnt out multiple times. Like I probably took like, I don't know, 5 to 10 breaks in my time to get to the record. Like it took me forever and a lot of burning out to get to that point of like leaving the game. And like there was times where I thought I was done with the game forever. Like I was like, I quit, I'm done, I don't want to play anymore. And then, you know, I'd come back eventually. So it's brutal. 120 star world record grinding, it's pretty brutal. But it's also very fulfilling, more fulfilling than like most things I've done on stream, just because, you know, it's a nice goal versus kind of just like shooting the shit with chat. Like that's fun, but it's fun to do that while you're doing something cool, like grinding for a record. So yeah, I mean, I could quit now and be good. Like I said, I'm content with what I've done. I know I could get a 137, and I think it's a good time to shoot for. But since I said I would quit at a 137, I've definitely gotten a lot better. Because when I said that, that's what like a 136 is to me now. So it's like, I would definitely never touch the game again if I got a 136. If I got a 137 and it's not world record, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, it'd be cool to get a record again, but yeah, I could definitely be content leaving on a 137. Like that's a really good time. Goals for Mario, probably run a couple more tournaments. I think I lost sight a little bit of what I wanted out of tournaments. Once I started getting connections with bigger streamers and stuff, I was like, well, it'd be cool to get, a lot of exposure, and it'd be cool to have like a nice big tournament with big streamers. But it turns out, big streamers are busy. They don't really have time to grind the game that hard, so it's not that interesting to watch them duke it out, because they usually end up being kind of one-sided matches, or just a shit show completely. So if I do another tournament, which I would like to do another one, it might be a little while, but I would want it to be the best players. I don't think I've ever done, or maybe I did like 1 or 2 tournaments, which was like top players, and I kind of concluded that like they're not as interesting because they're so good that like when a lead is had, they kind of just don't lose the lead usually. But I've had some ideas to spice up the format that I do want to try. So the plans going forward with Mario is probably try to get a 137, maybe do another tournament. I try not to think too far in the future because it's really easy to get stuck in that stuff. So that's about as far as I'm thinking now. In terms of life, I mean, right now I'm just, like I said, I'm taking music a little more serious, and although I don't really have a huge interest in like being, some big musician or something, I think it motivates me, and it keeps me like interested to just see what I can make and see where it can go, and if I can do anything with it. I think to me that sounds like an interesting kind of challenge to see, like, because that's way more competitive if you think about like, if you want to think about like the nature or like the amount of people doing it. Like Mario's pretty small. Like there's like 500 active players, 600 active players, a couple thousand runs on a leaderboard or whatever, versus tens of thousands of people make music, and it's not like it has to be a competition to be like, I make the best music or something, but I want to just make the best stuff that I can make, because I know I can make better stuff. So that's kind of just what keeps me interested these days, is pretty much that. A little bit of Mario and streaming and a little bit of music. And I guess I want to get back in shape. I've definitely let myself go since past few years. So those are my immediate things: music, Mario, fitness.